Yes. I am Paul Harris, filling in for McGraw while he's off for the rest of the week. Kelly Jackson is here. And Tony Messenger joins us on the phone now. Tony is editorial page editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and a regular on the roundtable here on Friday mornings. Tony, good to have you back on the show.
Paul, how you doing?
Good. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on here today was because of an editorial you had in the Post-Dispatch about a project in St. Louis that would mean a lot of jobs for organization that's been here for a long time, but we got to get them a new place. And I'm not talking about Louis.
That is correct. Wrong three letters.
Yeah, we're talking about NGA, not RA. The NGA is something I've talked about before because Frank Ladd, the producer of this show, for the National Geospatial Agency, which to go by other names, but they were at one time the Defense Mapping Agency, and they do maps for the Defense Department and all sorts of government projects, both domestically and all around the world, right?
Yeah, one of the interesting things about the NGA is it is sort of even to folks who have lived in St. Louis a long time, because of the somewhat secretive nature and high-tech nature of what it does, it's sort of St. Louis's best-kept secret. I mean, this is the organization that helped U.S. Special Forces track Osama bin Laden. This is an organization that is involved in tracking terrorists all over the world and doing all sorts of things. I mean, humanitarian missions and I mean, because of the nature of how we track information around the world these days, the NGA is one of the most vital pieces of our sort of national security apparatus, and that's why it's such a good bet to keep it here. NGA plans on expanding, possibly doubling the 3,000 jobs that we have in St. Louis right now, and the city of St. Louis cannot afford to lose this gem. And unfortunately, a little bit of politics is getting in the way, but there is progress. The NGA, the city has a site that's identified in North St. Louis. It would move from South St. Louis to North St. Louis and invest in an area in the community that has been lacking for decades. Let's face it, St. Louis has ignored North St. Louis for the longest time. This project would be a bigger building project than the NFL stadium. It is more jobs and more economic development and more construction than what's going on at Boeing. I mean, this is the big deal that everybody should be talking about, and all public officials in the city, in the county, in the state should be moving in the same direction to make sure that that thing stays here, because Scott Air Force Base wants it in Illinois. And while they are a regional partner in St. Louis, moving those jobs out of the city would be devastating to the city of St. Louis.
Now, the NGA right now is located at Arsenal, right along the riverfront. That's where their property is. But as you say, they need more space. So they're talking about moving into North City. Whenever you talk about that, you talk about land that is now owned by a developer by the name of Paul McKee with his Northside Regeneration Group, which has been controversial, right?
Right, and it's controversial in some cases for all the wrong reasons. The fact is, this wouldn't be a Paul McKee project. He happens to own 50 of the 100 acres that the city has identified as the parcel, but it's a mostly empty 100 acres. The process of buying out some homeowners and businesses, which, hey, let's face it, that's complicated and that's difficult, and you're talking about people moving their livelihoods. I get it. That's one reason why this is controversial. But this isn't about enriching Paul McKee. This is about bringing investment into North City. This is the only major game in town right now in terms of talking about bringing massive investment into North City. And so standing in the way of it just makes no sense to me.
So who's standing in the way, Tony?
Well, there are a couple of black aldermen on the north side who tend to oppose Francis Slay, the mayor of St. Louis, mostly because they tend to oppose Francis Slay no matter what. There are a couple of aldermen who aren't fans of Paul McKee, and so they oppose Paul McKee no matter what. What's key, and what the editorial on STLtoday.com pointed out, is that a majority of African-American aldermen on the board voted to approve this project. And the Board of Aldermen historically has been as a body supportive of the North Side Regeneration Project. And so this has the potential, even though it's not specifically a Paul McKee project, to absolutely reinvigorate other plans on the north side, not just the NGA.
And if the NGA were to move to this new location, anytime you take a business with that many employees, you then not only are filling up what is blighted area with new buildings, but you also get the ancillary businesses that have to grow around that as support for that business, right?
Correct. I mean, I think there's no doubt that in an area that lacks investment, if you put 3,000 or potentially 6,000 or 7,000 employees up there, most of those NGA employees already live here. They live, I mean, I have neighbors who work at NGA. They live out where I live in West County. They live in South County. They live in North County. They live in Illinois. Most of the employees already live here, but they're going to be working up there. And that means they're going to need dry cleaning, and they're going to need food, and they're going to need all of those different sorts of things, and people like to have those things near work. And so that will create ancillary investment up there. And then it's a matter of dominoes. It's just a matter of once those things start to happen, then more people want to live a little bit closer to work. If the city ever gets its act together and builds a north-south metro link that goes up there, that fits into it. Now you have people that need to live up there, and homeowners start to come in. So it changes the dynamics. It's a long-term play, but it completely changes the dynamics of Northside, and I think the city's just got to do everything it can to make sure those jobs stay here.
Now, when we're talking about a federal agency that Illinois would like to take away and put at Scott Air Force Base, but Missouri wants to hold on to, do we now have Blunt and McCaskill versus Kirk and Durbin? Are they involved in this, as well as the members of Congress?
I talked to Senator Roy Blunt yesterday, and he's very involved in this. I believe Senator McCaskill is as well. I know Representative Lacey Clay is. And here's the thing. This is what I think gets complicated. Of course, the Illinois delegation is going to fight for the jobs to come to Illinois. However, there is significant support within the Obama White House to not take those jobs out of a distressed economic community, which St. Louis is, and specifically to invest in distressed areas like North St. Louis. It would be a complete contradiction of a lot of stated White House goals for the NGA jobs to be taken out of here. And so I think St. Louis has the advantage as long as it creates the opportunity that when the NGA makes the decision, they can start building right away and there aren't delays. That's where the struggle is. Getting the investment on the property, on some of the roads, telling the federal government, look, we're ready to go. You pick us. You're going to keep those jobs here, and everything's going to be smooth. I do believe there will be some political complications with our friends in Illinois. I hope that Senator Blunt and Senator McCaskill are really good at reminding Senator Durbin, Senator Kirk, and some of the new representatives out there how hard St. Louis has worked to keep Scott Air Force Base as part of our region. And hopefully there's a little behind-the-scenes reciprocation here.
I've only got 30 seconds here, Tony, but I'm curious if the people in South City are saying, hey, wait a second, don't take this away from us. We need it here because we need the jobs here.
Well, NGA's already made that decision, and so that's what's going to happen. But here's the thing. The Arsenal property is near Anheuser-Busch. It's along the river. As compared to distressed community in Northside, I don't think the Arsenal property is going to sit there empty for forever. The federal government's still going to control it, so there will be some issues there. But that is developable property, and so that's going to be another opportunity for St. Louis after the Arsenal folks move.
Tony Messenger, editorial page editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and STLtoday.com, and a regular contributor to McGraw's Friday morning board meeting here on the Big 550 KTRS. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Paul.
8:31, we're back.